Why do some wounds stay open even after all these years? The biting cold pricks my skin, blending with the muffled whispers and footsteps. I'm standing alone before the memorial, an island in a sea of strangers. The air is heavy with secrets, the kind that settle deep into your bones. I can feel the silent judgments pressing down, like a cloud overhead. Have I come back for redemption, or just to finally uncover the truth buried beneath layers of lies? Or maybe it's something darker, an urge to confront what I've always run from. The ache inside grows, stirring memories I buried in shadows. The scent of rain lingers, mingling with leaf rustle and distant voices, forgotten fragments of a past I can't escape. Can I find closure here, or will I leave with more questions than answers? 6 years. That's how long I avoided this place, this family, this part of myself. If my father hadn't died, I'd still be gone, vanishing without a trace, just like they wanted. But now, I'm back. Golden leaves swirl around my feet, cold wind biting through my coat. Virginia in November feels like a wound that refuses to heal, like a scar I keep reopening. The sky, slate gray, mirrors her eyes, my mother's, when she saw me across the field. Her lips pressed tight, as if she's bracing for scandal. "Claire," she says, her voice flat, like an accusation. "You should leave right after the service. Let's not make things uncomfortable for everyone else." And everyone is watching. Families whisper over steaming cider, stiff in black coats and polished shoes. A few nod vaguely, avoiding eye contact. No one asks how I've been. No one says they're glad I showed up, except Julia Chienjami. Her voice is sweet, deadly. Her words, coated in honey and venom, cut deeper than any blade. I turn toward her. She looks perfect. Tailored coat, delicate makeup, not a hair out of place. Next to her, the town mayor stands silent, hands clasped, looking like a statue of political decorum. He shifts, curious, judgmental. I say evenly, "I came to pay respects." "Same as you," I add, voice steady. Julia chuckles softly, a sound that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "You still remember where Dad's buried?" she asks, her tone light, but with a sting. I remember everything. Every slight, every name, every scar I carry from a life built on secrets and lies. Every chapter no one acknowledges. And yet, here I am, seeking something that might never come. Closure? Truth? Or am I just chasing ghosts? Maybe all of it, and maybe nothing at all. The memorial crowned the hill, a stark granite wall etched with the town's fallen stories. Flags flutter lazily, soft in the breeze, serene, almost numb. At its center, the Orion Unit plaque gleamed, polished but incomplete, whispering secrets. I moved up the slope, each step settling into the damp earth. The scent of wet grass mingled with the fading perfume of roses, notes of loss, of memory. My name should have been carved there, forever intertwined with this place. Instead, his name, Nathaniel Brandt. I stopped, eyes fixed on the inscription. That name, once a ghost haunting my past, was now part of a different story, one I wasn't supposed to read. Julia's shadow loomed behind me. Her voice cut through the silence, cold and calculated. "Nothing proves you were ever part of Orion," she sneered. "That unit's dead." I muttered, "Convenient." Fingers brushed the cold granite. That spot, my spot, was smooth, but below the surface, the name had shifted. Someone else's. Someone who'd slipped away, unscathed, leaving blood and betrayal behind. Julia's voice broke the moment. "He got a medal. And I drove here in an old truck, scarred and weathered, blank and rusted, just like my memories, the last remnant of a past I lost, the quiet warning before everything fell apart." "You should go," Julia whispered, turning on her heel, heels clicking away. before questions come, questions you can't answer. Around me, the ceremony continued. Salutes wavered, flags folded with trembling hands, words spoken like rehearsed lines, but I saw through it, the unspoken truths. My father's name was honored, yet I knew the real story. How he manipulated, concealed, erased. How he traded integrity for silence. And there, before the cold stone, I finally spoke aloud what I'd buried long ago. I will not let him bury me twice. The breeze pressed harder, carrying the scent of rain. Gray clouds gathering, shadowing the past I couldn't escape. The pain, the secrets, they all still linger. But now, I want truth, even if it scars deeper than any wound, because this story isn't over. Not yet. The town swooned over the Orion unit like saints. Never mind the fire they lit that consumed them all. Photos of folded flags, polished metals, they lined the walls of my childhood home. The Walsh house hadn't changed much, maybe a little duller, like life itself had worn thin. The stairwell creaked louder as I stepped inside, familiar yet distant, like the echo of a familiar song turned faint. The scent of old wood mixed with lemon oil filled my lungs, a cheap perfume of grief kept behind glass, still neat, still controlled, yet painfully sealed tight. In the living room, whispers floated in the humid air, quiet and rehearsed, like everyone was afraid of it spilling over. A framed portrait of my father stared from the mantel, draped with black ribbon. His eyes, still proud, his jaw set with authority, like he was still commanding the room even in death. They believed he was a hero, the kind who upheld honor, kept the legacy alive. But no one looked closer. No one saw past the medals, past the surface. Julia moved through the gloom, elegant, hollow, like a ghost of her former self. She paused by an older couple, her hand resting softly on a woman's wrist, sharing some hollow memory of Dad. Then she saw me. "You look tired," she said, voice smooth. "I wasn't sure you'd come back to the house." "It's still my house," I replied, steady but not soft. She blinked, caught off guard. We stood there, silent, wary, eyes darting, careful not to touch the scars beneath. Guests filtered in like shadows, some offering kind words about faith, about how Dad loved his country, how he raised us with principles. That's when I wanted to laugh or scream. Julia clutched a photo, Dad in his younger days next to a combat vehicle, his hand firmly on the shoulder of a figure out of frame. Me. I remembered that day. I remembered the way he leaned in, just before the camera flashed, whispering, "You'll never be more than a shadow of this family." I remember that sunlit afternoon, backyard faded under the weight of time, jasmine scent floating with the wind, earth moist and heavy. A distant hum of traffic muffled the quiet. I watched my father's rough voice echo in my memory, telling me to stay quiet, clutching my small hand beneath the fence's shadow. I remember sweat slicking my skin, the rough bark of an old oak pressing against my back as family tears and tensions erupted beyond the fence. That warmth faded, replaced by an aching silence, like a wound opening anew with every step I take to find answers. Do they even see what broke us, or are they too busy holding on to their facades? Inside, the air was stale, thick with unspoken words. I had always felt distant from it all, yet somehow the past still calls me, stubborn, lingering. Now I sit here, faced with memories that refuse to fade. Julia's voice cuts through the stillness. "You look tired." She slides a photo across the table, Dad in his prime, stern and proud, a hero to some, a shadow to others. I stare at it. Her gaze, sharp and calculated, whispers, "He defended us. Remember that." What were his secrets? What choices did he hide behind that hardened exterior? I ask myself, were they enough, or were they just the surface of something darker, I walk into the study, the heavy velvet curtains still blocking the afternoon light, dust swirling lazily in the shafts. I open the old laptop, collecting dust like memories. 6 years, left untouched, but the screen flickers, alive, yet empty. Someone has been inside. Someone has pulled the plug on my past, wiped every trace of who I was, what I knew. Could they even see what they've destroyed? I feel that hollow ache again, like an echo from a long-ago storm. Behind me, the muffled voices of guests carry on, polished words, fake tears, the rituals of grief. Does anyone notice? Julia stands by the fireplace staring at our father's portrait, her silence heavy with meaning. She says softly, "You're digging again." I nod, quietly. I am remembering. The man who did what he had to do. But for whom? Her eyes turn cold. Don't disturb his legacy. Her voice unwavering, armed with years of conviction. Will she ever see beyond her own reflection? Probably not yet. But I do. I see the cracks beneath the surface, shattered truths masked by pride, and maybe, someday, I'll find the pieces to put the story back together. Or maybe I'll just keep rewriting it, bit by bit, hoping for something, anything, that might finally bring me home. Under the flickering glow of the street lamp, shadows stretch long and restless. My eyes catch movement, a figure slipping past the house, quick and uncertain. My heart kicks up. The creased letter from Julia clenched in my fist feels heavier than ever. Her words, bitter with secrets she'd never share openly, whisper across my mind. I clutch it tighter, senses heightened. The night's air smells damp. Rain, maybe, or just the earth waiting for a storm. A leaf rustles and suddenly everything feels alive with tension. Distant voices drift from the town square. A baritone hum of gossip, of secrets carried on the wind. The question hangs, am I finally close to revealing what's buried beneath layers of lies, or is this just the calm before a reckoning I'm unready for? The truth lies in the darkness, waiting. I wonder, what comes next? Will I face her, or will the shadows swallow even this fleeting moment? The night holds its breath, and so do I. She picked up on the second ring. "Claire, what's wrong? Do you know who Dad used to meet during his last year in service?" "What kind of question is that? The type that gets people erased," I scoffed. "Stop digging, it's over." Dad did what he had to. That's all anyone ever says. But did he ever tell you what I supposedly did? A long pause, then she hung up. Click. That silence said everything. Later, I found myself back at that old bar off Highway 22. It's where we'd drown out Mission's dull, greasy food and cold beer, trying to forget the worst lighting in town. Heron was there. I saw him immediately. He was hunched over, eyes sunken, bouncing one leg under the table. "Harlan," I called softly. He looked up slow, squinting. "Claire," he muttered. I nodded. "Damn, I never thought I'd see you again." "I need answers," I said, voice low. He let out a hollow laugh. "Don't we all?" We sipped stale bourbon, low and tense. Heron had been part of Orion, like me, until one day he wasn't. "They wiped me, Claire," he said, voice rough. "VA says I never served. Coincidence? Who did this?" He leaned in closer, whispering, "Ask your father. He's dead." That phrase hit harder than I expected. "Maybe he got off easy," I murmured. Before I could say more, Heron got up. "I've said too much." He turned and left, but I saw him. A man at the bar, not drinking, just watching. He shifted slightly when I left, his eyes never leaving me. I took the long way through an alley behind Marston's hardware. Broken glass, dried leaves, the cold crunch of my boots beneath me, everything in sharp focus. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. His presence felt like a weight on my shoulders, even from behind. At 5th and Maple, I slipped into a shadow behind a dumpster, catching my breath. He passed without pausing, scanning ahead. I waited. Then I moved, backtracked, knowing I had no proof, only instincts and paranoia. Back at the motel, I opened the drawer where I'd stashed the mini camera rig. It was motion-sensitive, fully autonomous. I had used it during recon in Moldova. The truth was only a click away, but for now, I'd wait, trace the shadows, listen to the silence, and wonder who was really watching me. The wind's whisper slips through the cracks, carrying a faint tremor of rain. I adjust my position, eyes fixed on the street beyond the window. The city feels still, but my pulse is loud enough to drown it out. I set the small camera near the glass. Let's see who's watching now. It's come to this. Playing the game, one eye on the shadows. When my phone vibrates, I know. No caller ID, no warning, just a single brutal message. You shouldn't have come back. Some of us are still ready to finish what your father started. Heat rises in my chest. Threats? Cheap. Yet this time it's different. It's precise. Personal. They're not warning. They're marking. I reach into my pack and pull out that old USB drive, untouched since Orion fell, a relic of hidden truths. Slipping it into my backup laptop, I sift through the corrupted files until I find one folder, untouched, a map of coordinates, names, dates, secrets no one should still hold. One name stares back at me from the metadata, forgotten for 6 years. I punch in an address. No label, no name, just instinct guiding my finger. Claire sent the first packet to a place I recognized but never saved. No recipient. No explanation, just a signal. Julia says Dad protected us. I say he protected himself. The Walsh house creaks in the wind, an old ghost trying to shake off the lies. I'm here, clutching a chipped mug of bitterness and cold coffee, feeling the weight of everything unsaid. Julia appears, distant, her robe tight, her face a mirror of her own secrets. Someone rang the door. A stranger claiming to be an old coworker of Dad's at Orion, a file, hidden in a backup server. A lie Dad always told himself, that there were no survivors, no archives. Yet here they come, with answers. And I wonder, if I look hard enough, will I find what I've been craving all along? Or will the shadows swallow me whole? The mug hit the table with a sharp clink, echoing in the heavy quiet of the kitchen. The weight of unspoken truths presses down, thick as the rain-slick streets outside. Maybe he lied. Julia's shoulders stiffen, her voice slicing through the air. Don't, not here. Not now. I lean against the counter, watch her silently. Remember how he used to teach you? Logic? Puzzles? That game where he'd hide coins and you'd track the trail? Her jaw tightens, her eyes flicker with memories. He was teaching me to think, she says softly. I shake my head. No. He was conditioning you. Make you believe he was always 10 steps ahead. Never wrong. Silence lingers. Julia stirs her tea with a little too much force, a faint tremor in her fingers. You think you're the only one who's lost something? Her voice bursts out bitter. I lost him too. The dad who'd sing Sinatra while fixing the car, who spotted fake smiles at dinner parties. Do you really think I never saw what he did, what he erased? I step closer, feeling the cold weight of past shadows. You didn't lose him. You never really saw him. Not really. Her eyes narrow, a jagged echo of her own secrets. And I wonder, did I? Do I see it now? Her gaze snaps to the dark window. Something shifts inside her. Doubt, maybe. I breathe in deep. He told you there were no backups, but that engineer, Heron, he knew, and he told me the VA deleted his service file. Julia's hands tremble as she grips her mug. Steam curls between us, thick as fog. I push further. Ever hear of Viking Zero Protocol? Her motionless, eyes fixed. Her breath catches. The mug stops midair. What did you say? She whispers. Viking Zero Protocol. My voice drops low. A purge command. to wipe out any operator considered a threat. One slip, and everyone disappears. She whispers, voice trembling. How do you know all this? Why wasn't it in his files? Outside, the rain begins to softly tap against the glass. Shadows stretch long. The silence presses, heavy with secrets, things no one's supposed to uncover. And yet, right now, I wonder whether this is the moment I finally crack open the truth, or if the darkness hiding it will swallow me whole. The rain's relentless tap against the windshield is all I hear. Steady, quiet, like the earth holding its breath. I don't blink. It's because blinking might be a mistake, might be the reason I vanished, why they erased me. Before they cut me out, I buried my truth so deep even Orion couldn't find it. That truth still lingers in the shadows, waiting. I sit there, watching that crumbling warehouse across the empty lot. Once alive, now just decay. A beast rusted by time, just like what's left of my past. I grab my duffel, flash a quick glance at the sky, and yank my hood tight. Every step toward that old wooden door packs more weight. 6 years of silence behind me. Everything I lost, everything I hide, wrapped in the downpour. The keys still taped under the vent. That's the last thing I left. I slide it into the lock. It turns with a reluctant groan. Inside, the stench of mildew and dust hits me hard, but nothing's changed since I vanished. My boots echo softly across the concrete, careful, deliberate. I move to the far wall, uncover a rotted plywood stack, reveal the hidden panel I rigged years ago. Behind that, a steel lockbox lined with foil, untouched, sealed tight. The SSD, my last piece of saved truth. My fingers hesitate before I peel back the seal. As I shuffle back to the truck, soaked and shivering, I pull the drive free and connect it to my laptop. It blinks alive with that faint, familiar glow. First password, a childhood nickname. Second, a string from some Orion field report. Third, the code phrase I haven't spoken in years. Access granted. Files flood onto the screen. Encrypted mission logs, surveillance briefs, names that sting. But one file catches my eye. Red metadata, verification required. I click. A warning pops up. Signature verification incomplete. Upload, encrypted key. I curse under my breath. Every step forward feels like walking through shadows that threaten to swallow me whole. What secrets are tangled in these files? What did I risk, and how much longer can I hide from what I once ran from? The faint hum of the old fan stirred the stale air, thick with rain-scented humidity that clung to the peeling wallpaper. Shadows from the flickering neon outside cast fleeting dance moves across the dusty floorboards. I'd been sitting here for hours, scanning a maze of encrypted files, my heart pounding with every line of code I deciphered. But nothing prepared me for what I was about to uncover. There's a familiar ache in my chest, the kind that grips you when everything you thought you knew is suddenly a lie. I stare at the screen, my eyes burning, my mind racing. A tiny file, marked EK, a name I'd long believed erased from existence. Elias Knox. Dead, or so I'd been told, but there it was, still lurking in the shadows, untouched. Doubt flickers. Could this really be true? Or am I chasing ghosts again? My fingers tremble as I hover over the mouse, breath catching in my throat. Every secret I fought to bury feels like a weight pressing down. What does it mean that this name and this file, so long suppressed, still exist? How many lies have I lived through, and who's been hiding behind the mask all along? Inside, a flood of questions. Outside, someone is waiting in the dark. The truth is close. Too close, and I can't tell if I'm about to unlock salvation or unleash chaos. The screen flickers. It's quiet now, save for the faint hum of the old laptop. Shadows dancing across my face. Outside, leaves rustle. Wind whispers secrets I'd rather forget. My eyes flicker with anger and despair, because I know I've finally crossed a line. Julia's voice echoes in my mind, trembling, as if she's right here, trying to hold back the truth. But what she doesn't realize, I've already seen enough to unravel everything. The file, marked EK, a name I buried long ago, Elias Knox, lurks there, proof that the past isn't dead. It's waiting, and it's hungry. The question hangs thick in the air. Who is really in control here? Who's been hiding behind masks all along? My fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling. Every nerve on edge, every secret, every lie I've lived with suddenly feels like shackles tightening. And just then, the silence breaks. A faint voice crackles through the speakers, tired, defeated, and honest in its pain. Elias Knox, alive after all. The old doubts, the burning need for closure, do they finally add up, or is this just the beginning of something darker, something that could change everything, or tear everything apart? Who's going to make the first move, and what truths are still buried in the shadows, waiting? The stakes have never been higher, and the next move might just be the one that decides it all. The rain had begun falling an hour ago, its rhythmic patter blending with the distant hum of the town, a soft hush on a sleepy southern evening. The air smelled of wet earth, sharp with a hint of jasmine from the garden, tugging at memories long buried. A flicker of childhood flickered before her eyes, hiding behind the worn wood of her family's porch, the rough grain pressed against her palms. Her father's voice, harsh yet tender in that moment, echoed faintly through the silence. The cicadas drone on, almost as if trying to tell stories lost to time. She remembers the cool breeze, the way it brushed her cheek, whispering secrets she couldn't yet understand. Those days felt like some distant dream, innocent, yet slipping away every second. Now, she stands in this solitary space, grasping for closure, longing to piece together who she really is beneath all the layers of silence and regret. She wonders, can she ever really understand her past, or is it just shadowed in lies? Her eyes trace the horizon as the weight of her silence settles. Behind her, the distant sound of footsteps. An unspoken family rivalry low-D's the air. Julia, always polished, always calculating. Her smiles masks something sharper. The city's glare pours in through the window, reflecting a surface sheen hiding cracks beneath. Julia's charm hides her true motives, maintaining status, controlling the narrative that people see. Yet, beneath the surface, the tension simmers, unseen but felt. And then there's the town mayor, a figure of decorum, standing at the crossroads of tradition and expectation. Outwardly reserved, yet sharply observant, he's caught between upholding the community's standards and the whispers that threaten to unravel everyone's secrets. In this fragile moment, questions swirl. Who's really in charge? Who's hiding behind masks? And perhaps, the most pressing, what truths are buried so deep, they wait for just the right moment to surface? She takes a deep breath, feeling the cool air seep in through the cracks. Every nerve is on edge, every old memory stirred anew. Her fingers twitch toward the past, toward understanding, or perhaps toward her own salvation. Then, suddenly, a quiet voice crackles from the darkness. Fragile, resigned, yet unflinchingly honest. Elias Knox, alive after all. Nothing remains unopened, undisclosed. Her doubts, her need for closure start to crumble under the weight of this truth. Or do they merely open a door to something darker, something more tangled than before? The horizon darkens as shadows lengthen, and the silence hangs thick, waiting. Only one thing is certain: the next move will change everything. Because in this town, the past never really stays buried. The quiet hum of the TV barely filled the space, the local news anchors blabbering through weather reports and soccer scores, oblivious to what was lurking beneath the surface. My phone vibrated again. Kessler, make it loud, but keep it clean. I didn't respond. Instead, I clicked open that anonymous forum, the one no one talks about. Within the hour, Knox's recording skyrocketed to the top of the thread. The comments, they exploded, a wave of digital whispers. This is real. Someone's covering this up. People started cross-referencing locations, timestamps, trying to find the truth behind the static-laced background noises. Then, just past midnight, I turned on the news again. And there it was, a whistleblower alleging Orion tampered with something beneath the Chiron. A blurred image, my father in uniform, something I'd seen before, but never quite like this. Julia's favorite picture. The footage faded into Knox's image, one of the few shots left from before his accident. My phone buzzed. Another message. I didn't answer. Instead, I watched, shadows creeping over my nerves, the cracks in my world widening. Somewhere across town, Julia stared at her screen, eyes cold and unreadable. I knew what she was thinking, probably sending that one word. Why? I didn't have the heart to reply. Then another vibration. No words, just GPS coordinates blinking on the screen. My pulse doubled, only 30 miles into the woods, where nobody calls or answers. Whoever sent the message, they didn't sign it. But rain's scent clings to the air as we step into the abandoned Orion base. The fences, torn and sagging, tell stories of neglect. Julia whispers, "Fences haven't been repaired." Her voice hesitant. The tall grass rustles beneath our feet, a quiet warning. We climb over the fence under the cover of creaking branches. No turning back now. The main gate stands cracked, torn flags flapping in the wind. Inside, silence presses heavy, broken only by our footsteps and the faint imprint of recent footprints. Urgent, hurried, not left by accident. The control room feels frozen in time. Low ceilings, cold concrete, a lingering mold. Then I spot it. The server rack, battered yet deliberate. The data backup drive, jammed in upside down, no mistake. Julia's eyes widen. That's Orion-certified gear, military grade. Her trembling voice hints at danger. We power up the drive. Screen flickers, files load, revealing a corrupted protocol, charred edges telling of sabotage. Suddenly, footsteps approach. Shadows ripple against the wall. Something invisible, yet urgent, hangs in the air. What was their secret? Who was here? Who's still watching? And more chilling, what if this is only the beginning? I stood in that dim family room, the kind that breathes silence and history. Shadows flickered on the walls, candlelight barely holding back the darkness. Julia, always polished, always superficial, clutching a battered antique jewelry box, her poised facade trembling. Suddenly, she pulls out a worn, crumpled letter tucked inside. My breath catches. It's from our father. The words are like thunder in a quiet storm. Secrets spill, truths buried deep. The letter hints at betrayals, at lies we've lived with but never faced. Julia's eyes flicker with something darker, something she's been hiding. The room feels heavier. The scent of old wood and dust hangs thick. Eyes dart, hearts race. Is everything we believed about our family a lie, or is this just the beginning of finally unraveling it all? In that moment, everything shifts. What's real? Who's telling the truth? And what else is hiding beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? It's no longer just a family quarrel. It's a rupture. An unspoken truth tearing us apart. The past isn't done with us. Not yet. The evening was heavy with secrets, layers of deception woven into shadows that seemed to stretch forever. They kept rewinding, slow and deliberate, highlighting a shadowy figure and a trigger device they insisted I planted. It was a masterstroke, cloaked in truth that blurred the line between fact and fiction. Genuine Orion clips, framed with a doctor's precision, left just enough doubt. As Julia huddled beside me, Clutching her coffee so tightly the foam creased and cracked, her voice trembled. "That's not how it happened," she whispered, eyes flickering with suspicion and fear. I thought about that night I was injured. I remembered calling her, my voice steady despite my pounding pulse. But the world outside had already moved past memories. Now, they spoke to those who never knew the truth. Suddenly, the screen flickered, revealing a PR director's cold words. "Legal remedies against Ms. Walsh for defamation and unauthorized disclosures." Julia's phone erupted with notifications, headlines, voicemails, reporters swarming every social feed. A message from our mother flashed across. "Stop this. You're ripping what's left of this family apart." Julia's face went pale. "She thinks you're lying," I said softly. "No," she whispered. "She needs to think that." Outside, gravel crunched under tires. The same sedan I'd seen earlier. Its tinted windows idled long enough to confirm a room number, then slid away into the night. "Pack up," I ordered. We hurried, stuffing printouts, drives, the battered laptop into our bags. Julia's trembling hands knocked a stack of notes to the ground. I swept them up as rain hammered the roof, the storm's rhythm echoing our rising paranoia. We slipped out the back, into the darkness, and climbed into the truck. Miles down the highway, I saw the sedan merge behind us, silent, relentless. I veered onto a service lane, turned off the headlights. The taillights disappeared into the rain. For the next 2 days, we drifted through roadside diners, neon-lit motels where staff never looked twice. Every newsfeed echoed the same. Orion's statement, unchanging, relentless. What was waiting in the shadows? Who was watching? And what had we already unleashed? The question lingers. The answers. Still out there, hidden in the storm's silence. Under a dim, gray moon slipping through cracked concrete, an unmarked car rolls in silence. The air's thick from the rain, earth faintly scented as if secrets themselves are dirtied and washed anew. Suddenly, my phone vibrates, a message encrypted and brief. They're not who they seem. My heart tightens. A flicker of Julia's smile cuts through the darkness, calculated, knowing, a subtle signal to someone lurking among the town's officials. She's not just the polished surface we see. Beneath it lies a shadow, a puppeteer from her past pulling strings we can't see, controlling everything from corners we never knew existed. Who's truly behind it all? As the real story unwinds, we're caught in a web that could unravel everything we thought we understood. The truth isn't just hidden, it's placed where the darkness still lingers, waiting. In the dim quiet of a sealed room, shadowed secrets seem to cling to every surface. The air is thick, silent, yet heavy with unspoken truths. My hand trembles as I hover over the edge of revelation. Outside, the faint pulse of rain taps against the windows, each drop like a reminder of how much has been lost. My sister's polished smirk echoes in my mind, a reminder of the masks we wear, behind which darker truths hide. The corridor beyond, silent, watching. Every heartbeat pulses louder. What's waiting behind that door? Will I find closure or unleash something even darker? The stakes feel higher than ever, teetering on the edge of the unknown. The next step, it's hidden in the shadows, waiting. Do I dare to open it, or will I turn away, forever haunted by what I might uncover? The decision hangs in the silence, just beyond my reach. The dim glow of the town hall hallway cast long shadows as she hesitated there, gripping a crumpled piece of evidence like it was her last lifeline. Outside, the murmur of voices grew louder, feet shuffling, whispers carried on the cool night breeze. Rain's scent mixed with the faint rustle of leaves, pressing in around her, each drop a reminder of everything she's lost, everything she's chasing. Her breath catches. Just one step. To reveal the truth she's fought so hard to hide, or to walk away, dissolving into the darkness that's waiting behind her. Shadows flicker across the cracked wall, mirroring her turbulent mind. Does exposing everything finally bring peace, or will it undo what's left of her fractured world? Her trembling fingers tighten around the evidence. The question hangs in the heavy silence. Will sharing her story set her free, or shatter her completely? She stands at a crossroads, eyes fixed on the door, heart pounding, ready to unlock the secrets buried beneath years of pain, resentment, and truth, or forever hide in the shadows, where the ghosts of her past continue to whisper. The stakes couldn't be higher. The night whispers back, waiting. The room was thick with silence, like the kind you feel just before a storm hits. Bright lights spotlighted rows of suits, military brass, government officials, people dressed like medals themselves, polished and perfect. Journalists from the Orion Foundation hovered close, badges clipped tight, eyes sharp behind headphones and cameras. It felt like a grand performance, patriotism draped in flags, a string quartet playing somber melodies, echoing sacrifices that had become legend. But I saw through it. The mask we all wore. Once I'd worn this uniform with pride. Now it felt like a wound I couldn't hide. When I stepped into the room, heads turned, some in recognition, others in suspicion. Whispered questions floated through the air like cigarette smoke curling in the dark. Julia's grip on my arm tightened. She knew what this meant. At the front, Thomas Walsh, my father, stood solemn in black, a ribbon pinned to his chest. Though I wondered, did he earn it? His eyes flicked to me, just a flicker of hesitation before he masked it with a professional gaze. The ceremony began, speeches full of praise, glossed over truths polished like tombstones. A montage flickered, faces of the fallen smiling, training clips fading into memory. Not one shot of me. I felt that weight, like a ghost in the shadows. Thomas stepped forward, voice heavy with grief and pride, listing virtues, honor, sacrifice, integrity. But I could see the cracks beneath his words. Julia trembled beside me, and I reached out, steadying her hand, because I knew inside the storm was just beginning. Then I took a step, no cue, no announcement, just the scrape of my chair on marble. The hushed silence pressed tight around us. I cleared my throat, voice loud, unwavering. "I request the floor," I said. Everyone turned. Silence, thick and expectant. As a former member of Orion and a living witness, gasps rippled through the crowd. A panelist stammered, eyes wide. "Miss Walsh," someone said, voice trembling. "This isn't Kessler." I nodded. Behind the screens, a technician moved quietly, gears shifting, unseen but palpably present. Suddenly, the air felt different. The truth lingered heavy, the kind that could shatter everything, and maybe, finally, set me free. The room fell into a heavy silence as the monitor flickered once more. For a moment, no one dared breathe. Then, a file loaded. Unexpected, unplanned. It wasn't the polished slideshow everybody had prepared for. Instead, the screen went dark, plunging us into shadow. Then, an audio, raw and unfiltered, started to play. Knox's voice. It carried an urgency that chilled my blood. "If this reaches the surface," he said, "it means someone survived. Someone chose truth over silence." The words hit me like a punch. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, words overlapping. Confusion, suspicion, fear. Slowly, images flashed, redacted reports, metadata overlays, my own mission logs, the evidence they'd tried to bury. Then the voice of Thomas Walsh echoed through the room. "If Claire speaks out, she drags us all down." The words sounded a death knell. I couldn't tell if he was whispering or shouting. To him, it seemed like a threat or a plea. Whether he was trying to hide or run, his twitching jaw betrayed him. His fingers clenched tighter, eyes darted, not for a fight, but for an escape. The air thickened. Julia's face crumpled, but not from confusion. Underneath, clarity was sinking in. The truth was no longer silent. It roared, loud enough to rattle the walls. At first, everyone froze in shock, the weight of the evidence pressing down. The hall felt cold, the kind of cold that seeps into bones. Knox's final video logs, the sealed Kessler authentication, all laid bare, no hiding anymore. And amidst the chaos, the question hung in the air like smoke. Was Thomas Walsh hiding more than he let on? As the crowd's whispers grew louder, a new voice broke through the silence. A reporter from the third row, already streaming live, demanded, "Are these recordings verified?" Before anyone could give a definitive answer, a figure stepped forward, calm, deliberate, badge shining in the dim light. "They are verified," Kessler announced, voice steady. "Through federal chain of custody protocols, encryption matches Orion's archival system." Gasps erupted. Murmurs turned to chaos. The room, once frozen, now unraveled at the seams. The director of Orion, seated close behind Thomas, leaned in. "Mr. Walsh, is this true?" Thomas stood stiff as iron, hands trembling just barely. "These tapes are misleading," he said, voice clipped. "Edited, taken out of context. I never ordered the removal of anyone unjustly." His words sounded hollow, like echoes bouncing off empty walls. No one moved, no one spoke. But the truth was out there, lurking, waiting, and the silence. It was about to break. The scent of old paper and faded ink drifts up, filling the air like a ghost from the past. It's one of those quiet, humid afternoons in the town library's forgotten corner, a place she'd once run to as a girl, seeking refuge from the chaos she'd never quite left behind. Sunlight filters through dusty windows, casting fractured patches of gold on a worn, leather-bound book resting in her hands. She hesitates, then softly opens it again. The soft scratch of her fingertips against brittle pages echoes memories. Whispers of her childhood, secrets in the shadows, moments lost in time. Her breath catches, frozen between then and now, as voices from the past beckon her to confront her tangled roots, her unspoken truths. Why does it feel like the ghosts in these pages know what she's afraid to face? The past is a silent siren, pulling her back, promising answers, only to shroud them in shadows. She senses the weight of everything, family secrets buried beneath layers of polite smiles and silent betrayals. The quiet hum of the town outside feels distant, almost indifferent to the storm inside her. Her fingers tremble on the edge of revelation. Every revelation, every memory, a puzzle piece lurking in the margins of her mind, ready to click into place but threatening to shatter her if she dares to turn the page. When everyone's expectations press in, it's that one quiet moment of truth that threatens to upend it all. Will she find peace, or will the past swallow her whole? The rain slicks her hair back as she stands on the courthouse steps, her fists clenched tight. Cameras flash and shouts pierce the gray air, threatening to drown her in a sea of noise. She catches a glint beneath the mayor's lapel, something metallic, sharp, and her stomach twists with a strange weight. Whispers drift through the crowd, faint and haunting. Her sister's name, softly spoken, like a ghost slipping through the cracks. Ever since she returned, she's been chasing shadows, family secrets tangled in betrayal, a tangled knot of resentment and longing. The storm brews inside her, physical and relentless, matching the dark clouds swirling above. Does she step forward, confront what's buried, or will she vanish, disappear into the rain, into the fog of her past? As the tension stretches taut, holding its breath, history teeters on the edge of chaos. The moment is fragile. Will she face it, or will the storm swallow her whole? Claire stood on the courthouse steps, rain slicking back her hair, the distant hum of fireworks blending into the pounding of her heart. Cameras flashed, voices shouted, but her eyes were fixed on something just beyond. The faint glint beneath the mayor's lapel, sharp and cold, Her stomach twisted. Whispers drifted through the crowd, her sister's name, soft and ghostly. Echoes of a past she's fought hard to forget. She's been chasing shadows, trying to unravel tangled family secrets buried under layers of pride and betrayal. The storm inside her rises, matching the dark clouds overhead. Does she step forward to confront the truth, even if it destroys everything, or does she vanish into the rain, into the fog of her memories? The moment hangs heavy, fragile, on the edge of change. Will she face what waits in the shadows, or let the darkness swallow her whole? Claire hesitated at the mailbox, staring down at the plain envelope. Her hand trembled, a faint, familiar scent wafted up, the delicate hint of her mother's perfume, long thought lost to time. She hesitated. Inside, an old photograph peeked out, folded corner pressing softly against her palm. In the picture, Julia's laughter echoed through years of silence, shadowed by a figure she'd never fully known. Her breath caught. Was Julia more than just superficial smiles and polished appearances? Could she have secrets buried deeper than pride? The room around her darkened, shadows stretching across the walls, memories flooding back like storm clouds. The truth was slipping through her fingers. That simple photo unraveled everything she'd believed about her sister, and about herself. Was this the closure she'd been chasing, or just another storm she'd never outrun? Life's quiet lies and fire-lit betrayals blazed anew. She held the photograph tighter, her resolve hardening. Sometimes the heaviest truths are hidden right beneath a smile, and tonight she might finally have the courage to confront her shadowed past. Rain cloaked the small town in a thick gray hush, the scent of wet earth and rustling leaves filling the air. Inside the old town hall, a tense silence stretched so long it felt like a breath held forever. A faint crack echoed unexpectedly. So faint, almost a whisper, then another, now sharper. All eyes flicked toward the window, where a tattered flag fluttered wildly, though no wind stirred outside. Everyone's gaze fixated on that torn fabric, the jagged edges flickering in the dim light. It rippled, and suddenly, embedded deep within its lining, a flash of embroidery caught her eye. Claire's heart clenched. She recognized that insignia, the same one her family's secrets tried to bury long ago, buried deep beneath layers of pride, shame, and silence. How could it still be here? How had it survived? Then, finally, the heavy silence broke. The flag curled inward at the edges, revealing a hidden message stitched in the dark thread of the lining, a message she'd never expected to see. Her breath caught. The truth she sought, the answers she craved, all flipped upside down in that fleeting moment, pulling her into a dangerous game of secrets and lies. Could she trust what she was seeing, or was this a trap, a final play from the shadows she'd long tried to escape? That faint crack, it was more than just a sound. It was a summons, a challenge, a riddle wrapped in fabric and history. And in that quiet room, with everyone watching, Claire realized this might be the one clue that changes everything or seals her fate forever. How far will she go to uncover the truth? How deep do the lies run, and when she finally sees behind the curtain, will she like what she finds, or will the darkness swallow her whole? Under the pale glow of the evening, she stands on the old wooden bridge, the air thick with rain scent and the rustling leaves. Her breath paints little clouds as she gazes at a fragile keepsake, an old, cracked photo trembling in her hand. The silence is heavy, almost sacred, broken only by the distant hum of life fading into the dusk. Her heart pounds like a drum in her chest. She whispers to herself, "I was never the mistake they claimed." Tears threaten to fall, but don't. Instead, an ache inside deepens, a mixture of pain and defiance. The years of silence lift, if only for a moment. In that fragile quiet, she finds clarity, a spark of power, a choice to reclaim her story. How long can she hide from who she really is? Could this be the moment she finally understands her past, or will the shadows swallow her whole, refusing to let go? As the chill settles, she knows one thing. Her voice is awakening, and no matter what's been buried, she's determined to face what's coming.